How was Rolls-Royce made? You know a brand is truly something when a discussion cannot be completed without naming it. Such is Rolls-Royce, bespoke in every detail. This luxury car brand is well known for making some of the most expensive and elegant cars in the world. As interesting as the cars are that they make, so is their history, which led them to become the top-end luxury brand today. Want to know more about Rolls-Royce and its history? Well, then stick around to the end to find out. Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. This video is going to be quite an interesting one because today we will be discussing everything about Rolls-Royce, starting from its historical background to the current success the company is enjoying. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Established in 1904 in Manchester, Rolls-Royce was founded after the successful partnership happened between Charles Rolls and Sir Henry Royce. Both these gentlemen had great acumen for making cars. More on that later, but first, let's discuss some facts from the lives of the founders of the company. There's no doubt that it was Sir Henry Royce who put the foundation of this car manufacturing company that went on to become the top luxury brand afterwards. Royce wasn't bougie. On the contrary, he belonged to a family that was struggling to make ends meet. So Royce was forced to play his role by chipping in some funds. Though too young to be employed, he started selling newspapers. With Royce's family under a huge financial crunch, it was impossible for the family to afford the education their children so desperately needed. So Henry didn't get a formal education. He had to self-teach some of the basic subjects like French, algebra, and electrical engineering. There was Henry struggling all his life. And on the other hand, Charles Royce had a contrasting life situation. He was born in the house of a lord, and he got a degree from Trinity College in mechanical engineering. Charles was very interested in cars and mechanics in general. You must be wondering how these two came to meet each other because from the looks of it, there's nothing in common between them. Charles Royce was an upper-class lad with a proper formal education from one of the best colleges in the kingdom, and on the other hand, Henry Royce was struggling to make ends meet. So this is where the real history lesson about the foundation of Rolls-Royce begins. It all started somewhere in the mid-1880s when Henry Royce was trying his luck out on different things to find success. He was great at understanding both the mechanics and electronics, so he kept his interests in view when he started manufacturing small electrical equipment. He started his business back in 1884, and after a few years, it was running quite well. And when he had earned enough money, he imported a car for himself, which he did not like. The car had so many flaws, from being bumpy to very noisy, so Royce decided to build a car of his own. No one was manufacturing cars in Great Britain back then, so Royce was the first one to leap. From designing to manufacturing, everything was done under the supervision of Henry Royce. And in 1904, his very first two-cylinder car, called the Royce 10, was ready. The very first 3 cars that were manufactured, one Royce kept for himself, and from the other 2, one was given to his partner. And the other one was sold to one of the shareholders in Royce's electrical company. You know what they say, destiny has a way of doing things that we do not always understand. Such a thing did happen with Royce. So when Royce gave the car to his partner, the man knew Charles Rolls, who, after completing his studies, was running a car dealership business. When the car was introduced to Charles Rolls, he immediately fell in love with it. Charles wasn't a fan of the two-cylinder engine, but seeing Royce's car, he fell in love. He liked it so much that he asked Royce to manufacture more cars, which he would then sell at his dealership. You see, Charles was already quite frustrated because he had to import cars from other European countries to sell them in the UK, and that's when he came across Royce's car. It presented great opportunity for both Rolls and Royce. So it was back in 1904 when the initial foundations of Rolls-Royce were put into place. After the success of the Royce 10, the partnership really took off, and in 1906, 2 separate businesses were merged to form a Rolls-Royce company, where Royce was responsible for manufacturing cars and Rolls was busy with marketing their company. The cars that Royce was building at the time were so good that they immediately grabbed the attention of the market. Plus, the marketing techniques that Rolls was implementing along with Claude Johnson were just on point. Royce was managing the task of manufacturing the cars just so well, and what they produced was considered a marvel of engineering for the standards of the early 90s. It was quiet, comfortable, well-built, and reliable. Basically, the complete package of everything the other manufacturers were not providing at the time. As time progressed, Rolls-Royce invented new engines with 3 and 4 cylinders. Great Britain was waiting for a company that could come up with such a car, and Rolls-Royce made it possible. It was all going great, and just then Henry Royce decided to come up with something huge. No one knew what he was going to come up with, but when it finally came out, it was nothing short of marvelous. And that car was the Silver Ghost with a 6-cylinder engine under the hood. At the time it was introduced into the market, there was no other manufacturer who could offer such a great car. So popularity came naturally, and this car was titled the best car ever built. Rolls-Royce had already introduced their Spirit of Ecstasy that was adding to the grace of this great car. Silver Ghost was being manufactured at the Derby site of Rolls-Royce in the United Kingdom. But considering the popularity and the demand coming from all the other parts of the world, a manufacturing factory was opened in Massachusetts in the US, and immediately it became the new favorite car of Americans. A good story, though, isn't complete without a tragedy. And that tragedy in the Rolls-Royce story came when Charles Rolls died in an airplane crash. So what I didn't mention earlier is that Charles Royce was an aircraft enthusiast as much as he liked cars. And one day, during an exhibition flight, he had a fatal crash and lost his life. But before he died, he had discussed manufacturing aircraft engines with Royce, which was denied. But after Rolls passed away, Royce started to consider building an aircraft engine. The discussion for taking this new venture was already under process when World War I broke out. Considering the position of Rolls-Royce, which had established an image as the luxury car brand around itself, which no doubt it was, but with the rising uncertainty due to war, the company was uncertain about its future. Everyone knows that in times of crisis, spending on luxury items is the last thing the masses are going to do or think about. So the idea came to make aircraft engines. The British Army needed aircraft engines, so for the first time in 1915, a 12-cylinder Aero engine was built by Rolls-Royce and was named Eagle. Many new Aero engines followed the production of the Eagle, which included a Hawk and a Falcon. The last engine built under the supervision of Royce himself was a Merlin Aero engine. Rolls-Royce kept on building more engines, but in 1933, Royce died at the age of 70. He outlived his partner, who had died at the young age of 32, but all the years that Royce had devoted to everything in his company, he had neglected himself until his recklessness towards his health eventually claimed his life. There is no doubt about the legacy that both Charles Rolls and Henry Royce left behind in the form of Rolls-Royce. Currently owned by the German car brand BMW, Rolls-Royce reigns over the luxury car market, keeping the same ambition alive that it had from day one of being the most luxurious car brand possible. It is still very much here. Today, Rolls-Royce has a complete lineup of the most elegant-looking and beautiful luxury cars that could be designed for consumers. This lineup includes a Rolls-Royce Ghost, Phantom, Wraith, Dawn, Cullinan, and a newly introduced electric luxury sedan, the Spectre. All these cars are in a league of their own, with no other manufacturer out there that can compete with the ultimate luxury and exquisite experience that Rolls-Royce offers. Back then, it was just a car that one could buy from Rolls-Royce. Today, it's much more than that. Now there are hundreds and thousands of options that the company offers to its customers in the form of customization and features that they can get. There is no doubt that Rolls-Royce is very expensive, but the fact is that those who can afford it will always be ready to pay some extra money just to get their cars customized according to their own wish. So for those that don't know about these options, basically there's no limit to customization when it comes to Rolls-Royce. Many other companies, you get to pick the colors and the alloy of your rim design or other features, but Rolls-Royce takes this much further. You get the car designed based on what you'd like it to be. According to the representatives at Rolls-Royce, they have over 40,000 paint palette combinations that they offer to their customers. But even then, if a customer wants to choose out of those 40,000 choices, they can. For example, once a man wanted to get his Rolls painted in black with crushed diamonds added to the paint. I know that's a strange request, but Rolls-Royce made it possible. And that's just the exterior. In the interior, where companies usually don't have a margin to offer customization, Rolls-Royce has figured out a way to make everything possible. All you need is a lot of money, and Rolls will make sure to follow the mantra that the customer is always right. An executive reported that once a customer wanted to get his car embroidered in a floral pattern, so the designers had to make over 1 million stitches for it. Even then, they did it, and the final product was flawless. And while we're talking about the interior, who doesn't know about the infamous starry headlining in the Rolls-Royce? But did you know that even that is customizable? Yes, according to Rolls-Royce, you can choose the pattern you want for your roof lining and they'll get it done. Some customers really put the engineers under the challenge, as this one-time customer asked Rolls-Royce to make the roof lining pattern based on the constellation on the night of his birth. I don't know what designers had to go through while fulfilling that promise to the customer, but they did make it possible. The reason for mentioning all these offers that Rolls-Royce is providing their customers is to prove that there's a reason why Rolls-Royce has claimed the name of the top luxury car brand in the world. I mean, there is something extraordinary about this brand that has made it reach the height of success that it enjoys today. Both the founders were determined to come up with a comfortable and luxurious car, but I don't know if they could have imagined or even dreamed about what this car and the brand has become today. From its design philosophy to the comfort that they offer, everything reflects a true masterclass of engineering. And that is what Rolls-Royce and its cars are all about. Okay, so that's a wrap on the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.